this presentation, I will be comparing Act 1, Scene 1 from 3 different film renditions of Shakespeare's Macbeth. This opening scene of the film introduces one of the most important characters in the play, the Wade sisters. The Wade sisters play a crucial role in the film by first implanting the idea of being king into Macbeth's mind, and then encouraging him on further through prophecies that made it seem like he's invincible. This eventually led to his downfall. In this scene, the Wade sisters met up and foresees their future encounter with Macbeth. In Roman Polanski's version of the film, the witches are portrayed as they would be in medieval times. We can see that they are dressed in tattered, dirty clothes that hid much of their identity. This, along with the setting of the empty beach and the dawn sky, gives us an idea that they've intended to meet in secrecy. The lone seagull is also used as the foreshadowing device for the destruction and sorrow that is to come. Here, the witches can be seen doing a ritual which used objects such as a hand, a knife, and blood. Throughout the ritual, they showed no remorse. This portrayed the witches as callous and unfeeling creatures. This, however, was not in the original play, but was added into this film by the director to show his interpretation of the witches. The objects used in the ritual are also foreshadowing devices. They represent death and evil.
Hover through the fog and filthy air. When shall we three meet again? In thunder, lightning, or in rain?
When the hurly-burly's done, when the battle's lost and won.
That would be ere the set of sun.
Where the place?
Upon the heath.
There to meet with Macbeth.
In addition, the witches were old and seemed to hobble except for one. This gives them the image of being weak and harmless. Also, the fact that the youngest had pulled the card shows that there's a level of respect between the witches and made them seem more humane. Overall, Polanski's witches had the characteristics of the typical medieval witch. I will now compare and analyze the modern version of Macbeth by Jeffrey Wright. In this modern version of Macbeth's Act 1, Scene 1 by Jeffrey Wright, the witches are portrayed as young-looking girls wearing clothes typical of schoolgirls. The scene is set in a cemetery, which immediately gives an eerie ambience. Alongside this, the camera angle, the background music, and the loud screaming noises in the background gives a sense of danger and suspense. The clip of a witch destroying the statue shows physical strength but also makes them seem reckless and aggressive. Wright also used some foreshadowing tools like the red graffiti and the demolishment of the statue. It tells of murder and the destruction that is to come, which was also shown in Polanski's film. The two films used different methods to present the scene. Whereas Polanski showed typical witches performing witchcraft in secrecy, Wright showed young witches who displayed aggression and a love for destruction. There is also a comprehensive darkness to Wright's version, playing on the colors black, gray, and red. I will now compare and analyze the latest version of Macbeth by Rupert Gold. In this 2010 film rendition, the three witches are not portrayed as witches but as nurses. Just as the witches in Polanski's film, their clothes hid their identity, perhaps even more so. They are different, however, as the witches in Polanski's film hid away from people, whereas here they are hidden amongst people. This is extremely chilling, as we know that evil is amongst us. The white aprons they have on is also splattered with blood, which symbolizes their dirty deeds and bloody intentions. Immediately, in the first scene, they killed an injured man ruthlessly and watched with no remorse as he dies. This shows their lack of morality. However, the truly unnerving factor here is the fact that they are wearing the clothes of nurses. Nurses are a symbol of compassion and aid. This is untrue to the witch's nature and leaves the audience wondering how many others they've killed and deceived. This makes them even more terrifying as we know that they are capable, evil, and deceitful.
When the hurly-burly's done, when the battle's lost and won.
That'll be ere the set of sun.
Where the place?
Upon the heath.
There to meet with Macbeth.
Here, the cold tone of their voices, sharp movements, and eerie eye contacts with the audience gives the impression that they're in control and somewhat inhumane and robotic. An act of immorality is once again committed when the witch pulled the heart harshly out of the corpse while keeping a blank face. This proves their further detachment to feelings and makes them seem even more menacing. In addition, the unison of the three witches in chanting and walking makes them seem unnatural and sinister. Rupert Gold also successfully used light and sound effects to provide a strong supernatural concept to the film. Overall, the three versions of Act 1, Scene 1 all differs greatly with different portrayals and effects. Polanski's film used traditional witches, whereas Wright portrayed destruction and Rupert Gold showed off a more supernatural image.